All software has the potential for bugs. Sometimes those bugs can just cause your application to crash. Sometimes those bugs will corrupt data. Sometimes those bugs are just annoying. Some of those bugs have security weaknesses. Those bugs might leave your computer vulnerable to malware, viruses, hackers, all sorts of nasty stuff. So it's important to update your system periodically. So in this exercise, we're going to talk about the way to update software on Linux. We're going to be doing this in Ubuntu Linux, but most Linux systems have similar update mechanics and similar ways of installing software. Here's one case why updating software is important. There was a cyber attack called Eternal Blue. This was developed by the National Security Agency. It exploited a bug in the Windows operating system. Well, unfortunately, this tool got released and hackers started using it. Microsoft found out about the tool, found out about the bug that it was exploiting. Microsoft pushed out a patch. So if people just updated their operating systems, they would have been protected from being hacked via this exploit. Unfortunately, a lot of people just never updated their systems. They never ran Windows Update. And so people just keep getting hacked with this bug that exists in Windows that Microsoft fixed years ago because they just never updated their systems. So we're going to do it. Generally speaking, in the Microsoft world, you'll run Windows Update, and that will update your operating system. But running Windows Update only updates Microsoft's applications. The operating system might update Microsoft Office and a few other applications built into the system, but it won't update everything. So if you're running an application, your application might have a separate updater. So your web browser might have a separate updater. Like you can see, I've got up in the top right, relaunch to update. Yeah, Google Chrome installed an update in the background. It's waiting for me to relaunch my browser tabs, but I'm busy. Don't got time for doing that. So in the Windows world, it's kind of annoying because in the base state, you have to update everything periodically. Every application has its own update process. It's kind of annoying. The Microsoft Store is an attempt to fix that because the Microsoft Store has the ability to update applications that you install manually, but the Microsoft Store adoption is still kind of lagging, and a lot of people don't install all of their software via the Microsoft Store. Anyway, the Linux way is different. Your Linux operating system has a repository of the software available for it, and you'll typically update both your operating systems and the applications via the official repositories. Theoretically, those repositories have been vetted, so the software there is good to use. So if there's software available in your repository, you can just go ahead and install it from there, and you should be good to go. There's a few different ways to access those repositories. We are going to be using the Advanced Package tool. This works in Debian Linux-based systems. So Ubuntu Linux is based off of Debian. Kali Linux is based off of Debian. Lots of operating systems in the Linux world build off of Debian. Debian is a very stable, very solid base upon which people tweak and customize their specific distributions of Linux. All right, so let's do it. So here I am in my cloud virtual machine. We have to run the sudo command. So the sudo command says run this next command with root or administrative permissions. So I'm going to run sudo apt, that's the Advanced Package tool, update. And I run that. My computer is going out to the internet. It's going to the repository. So you can see I'm going to security.ubuntu.com. It's going to Ubuntu's repository. All right, so I'm good, right? I just updated my system. Actually, no, I didn't just update my system. All I did was go out to the repositories and fetch the latest list of packages that are available. So I downloaded, a couple megabytes of data, and it tells me 30 packages can be upgraded. That means I've got 30 software packages on my computer that need updates. Those updates were not installed. Let's go ahead and install them. So I'm going to sudo apt upgrade, and often it'll prompt like, yeah, it's gonna download some stuff and it's gonna use some of my disk. That's fine, yeah. Good to know. Do I want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. So it's gonna download all of the updates. What's lovely about this is that typically you don't have to go through all the menus like next, 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 click, do you accept the agreement, all that kind of stuff. Occasionally that happens. Depending on what software is being updated, you might be prompted to restart services, or there might be prompts popping up here and there in the command line interface. It's hard knowing now while recording this video what you might see on your screen. Nothing for me prompted an update. If you're prompted to update a service, go ahead and answer yes that you want to update or restart that service. That's fine. In the worst case scenario, your virtual machine might restart a service that resets your connection. If that happens, you would just have to close this tab, come back to your list of instances, and reconnect. That would be fine. Your system would be fine. In the worst case, your system would need to reboot, but that's really pretty rare. So 2 commands that we ran. We ran sudo apt update, and then we ran sudo apt upgrade. My system is up to date. I've got all the latest, greatest software. Hopefully any security bugs that were in any of those packages that I updated have now been fixed. My system is more secure. A lot of information here. I'm just gonna poke around. Pending kernel upgrade running. Okay, so this is telling me that it upgraded some key operating system files. Like the kernel is kind of the core of our operating system. Windows has a kernel, Linux has a kernel. It says you should probably consider rebooting. So if I reboot, I'll get all those kernel updates. So yeah, I should reboot, but I'm just going to keep going forward now because I'm going to stop this in a couple minutes anyway. And when I stop it, the next time I start it up, it's going to boot and it's going to have all of the updates supplied. So all of that's going to be fine. So how do we install software? Like we just updated what was already existing on our computer, but there's a tool called Nmap, which it's a network mapper. So if I run nmap, it says command not found. Helpfully, my operating system says, here's a few ways that you can install it. We are going to use apt again to install it. So let's do that right now. I'm going to do sudo apt install nmap. It's going to go out to the right place on the internet. It's going to download it. It's going to install it. It's going to take up some space on my hard drive. So I'm going to type Y here to say, yep, go ahead, continue. And when this finishes, I will now have that program on my computer. So before installing anything, you typically do want to do the apt get update because that looks at the latest software that's available. And then you would do apt install. And says, I'm good. I got the software. It's telling me don't have to reboot for this specifically, but all this is good. So now if I type nmap, I see the help documentation. I just see the bottom of the help documentation here, but I can scroll up and I can read what Nmap tells me about how to use this network mapping tool. But the software is on my computer now. Didn't have to open up a web browser, didn't have to download something to my downloads folder, double click, go through the wizard to install anything. So that's nice. If you want to have some fun, we can sudo apt install. We're going to install multiple programs with one command. We're going to install BSD games, nsnake, and a really powerful tool called cowsay. And I'm going to hit Y. Yes, I want to go ahead and install those. So in this case, we're installing multiple things at once, which is nice because we don't have to do them all one by one. We can take a look at the package with apt show BSD games. So apt is the package manager. And I'm saying, tell me about this BSD games package. We've got a few just fantastic games. Adventure, Arithmetic, Backgammon, Battlestar, Hangman, lots of good stuff. So we can try running those programs now. We installed nsnake. I'm zoomed in, kind of weird, so my screen is not in the default size, but so it's looking a little bit wonky just because the way I zoomed to my web browser. But hey, you can run Snake. Go for a high score if you'd like. How do you quit? Like, how do you quit? How do I get back? Well, I killed myself. Like, and the snake. I ate my own tail. You can always Control C. Control C is the default way to just stop a program from running. We'll run Tetris-BSD. You can see I'm gonna force you to watch me play Tetris. Like, no. So I'm gonna queue to quit. But these programs are there. So I told you I'm gonna type clear. Clear will just clear my screen and just take me to the top of the command line interface. So cowsay, one of the most powerful programs available on Linux. Cowsay, update your system. Okay. All this does is show a cow with a speech bubble with whatever you typed there. So it says update your system. The cow says update your system. So in fact, cowsay is not one of the most powerful Linux commands, but it's been around for a very long time. So this is how we install software. We run sudo apt update just to refresh the repository of software available for our computer. We run sudo apt upgrade to apply the latest updates for our existing software. And we run sudo apt install and then the name of the program we want to install in order to add new software to our computer. Personally, I prefer this way to the default Windows way where you go into random websites, downloading files, installing everything. But it's just different. All right, that's how we update and install software on our Linux computer.